It started with one woman and one sentence. Are you watching this? Speak? Rosie didn't debate. She declared a truth bomb.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Bankrupt all these times, money from his father, not a self-made man. Can't quantify his riches on Forbes magazine. I just said facts, and you would think that I called his mother a whore. You know, he went insane. And for 20 years, he's been using me as a punching bag.
He said only Rosie O'Donnell, like that made it better. She replied with facts. And for 2 decades, he's been throwing tantrums like she keyed his golf cart. This video contains public clips for commentary and cultural reflection. Before the lawsuits, before the mugshots, there was Rosie, the original threat to his ego. And she didn't need a scandal, just a sentence.
Where were you when, in the 2016 primaries, Trump starts insulting you? Did you see that live, or did someone tell you Trump's talking about you right now?
Well, it really started in 2007 when I was on The View, and he, went on like a 10-year or an 8-year tirade and went on all the shows. I think he was very shocked that someone said the truth about him on mainstream media. And
some feuds fade, some fizzle. But this one, it's been aging like a fine bottle of orange spray tan. For 2 decades, he turned Rosie into a punchline. But somehow, she's the one still landing punches. And just when he thought she was done, Rosie looked at Melania and said, "Now where were we?" If you're enjoying the roast, don't forget to hit subscribe. It's free, unlike Trump's lawsuits.
what Donald Trump is doing is trying to become an authoritarian, a dictator, and he is the worst thing that ever happened to this nation.
Some call it outrage. Rosie calls the truth. While most critics tiptoe, she kicks the door in and names the thing out loud. Authoritarian, dictator, the worst thing that ever happened. And somehow, she's still underplaying it.
So Donald Trump is in the news again because because his show, The Apprentice, is starting again in January.
Oh, yeah.
He held a big press conference to see if he was going to allow Miss USA, such a prestigious title. There he is, hair looping, going, everyone deserves a second chance. And I'm going to give her a second chance.
Only Donald Trump would turn a beauty pageant scandal into a redemption arc for himself. There he was playing moral authority in a spray tan, handing out second chances like forgiveness was on sale at Macy's. He wasn't saving Miss USA. He was auditioning for sainthood, in front of every flashing camera he could find.
He's the moral authority. Left the first wife, had an affair. Left the second wife, had an affair. Had kids both time, but he's the moral compass for 20-year-olds in America. Donald, sit and spin, my friends. I don't know. I just think that this man is like sort of one of those, snake oil salesmen in Little House on the Prairie. You remember that episode where the guy would come in with a lot of bottles and everybody would be like, ooh, and then he'd leave and little Laura Ingalls would go, Dad, I don't think there's anything in this bottle. Well, you're right, half-pint. That man was full of crap.
America's moral compass? From a man who changes wives like ties and still can't spell accountability. Rosie didn't shout. She just held up the mirror, and what stared back had bronzer, bankruptcy, and a Bible quote ready for TV. And that snake oil salesman from Little House? At least he didn't run for president.
He's a con man, period. Bankrupt all these times, money from his father, not a self-made man. Can't quantify his riches on Forbes magazine. I just said facts, and you would think that I called his mother a whore. He went insane. And for 20 years, he's been using me as a punching bag. Even at the debate, when he was first running, when the newscaster said, you call women pigs and gross and disgusting and horrible, and he said, no, only Rosie O'Donnell.
She said he's a con man, full stop. And his response? A 20-year tantrum dressed as a comeback tour. She dropped facts, he dropped standards, and somehow, only Rosie O'Donnell became a legal defense and a campaign slogan. Think this feud was just personal or prophetic? Hit that subscribe button. Rosie might have started it, but we're finishing the story. He mocked women for not meeting his standards. But Rosie didn't just clap back. She changed targets. She turned to the one who stood beside him and said nothing. Because sometimes silence isn't grace, it's brand strategy.
And he's not only insulting me, he's insulting any woman that he doesn't think lives up to his standards of what a woman is.
Turns out, Rosie was just the opening act. It was never just about Rosie. It was about every woman he couldn't control, rewrite, or crop out of the frame. And as it turns out, the ones who stayed silent weren't safe. They were next.
We are a country of hope, not a country of fear or weakness. And we have a leader who shows us that every single day. President Trump chooses to move this country forward. This country deserves a president with proven results, not empty words and promises.
I have looked at the way these two lovebirds interact with each other. Their chemistry, it's positively smoldering.
Please welcome our next Commander-in-Chief, my husband, President Donald J. Trump.
Within her still today,
To me, there is nothing more beautiful than watching a man and his wife try not to smudge each other's bronzing cream, you know?
Melania says we're a country of hope. Meanwhile, her husband's busy rage tweeting about caravans and courtroom sketches. Their chemistry! Jimmy Kimmel says it's smoldering. But when the bronzer outperforms the policy, maybe it's not love, it's lighting.
Do anything and everything to get what he wants, and women are of no value to him in his life or world. The only one who is, I think, is his daughter. That's it. The rest of the women in the world are useless as the immigrants that he says are coming from, Honduras to take us in caravans. Watch out for the caravan. There are people walking away from certain death in third world countries, right? The man doesn't care at all. So what he did to Stormy Daniels was horrific. What he did to me was horrific. But I expected when that was happening, the National Organization of Women or something would come out and say, you can't do this. You're not just allowed to pick a woman, lie, and just debase her with impunity. But he is. He is, and he gets laughs for it.
Rosie didn't call Melania fake. She just asked the question. If Barbie came in a limited edition silent elegance model with Swarovski eyes and a pre-installed PR team, would anyone notice the difference? Because in Trump's world, silence isn't golden. It's the dress code. And Melania wore it like couture. Rosie wasn't joking anymore. She was naming what the jokes had been hiding all along. Stormy, the immigrants, the women. If they weren't obedient or branded, they were disposable. And somehow, the cruelty kept getting applause.
I want to talk about how it feels to have this corrupt sexual predator be the leader of the free world. And if you were a child who grew up in the home with a male sexual predator, how unbelievably triggering this is, and how so many people are living with intense PTSD as a result of this man. I think part of the reason that all of these sexual abuse issues are coming out is because he was so blatantly dismissive of his sexual predation. Thank you.
This wasn't a punchline. It was a trauma report. While the world laughed, some people flinched, because when a predator leads, survivors relive. If this hit close to home, don't scroll in silence. The comments are open, and so are the conversations. Because next, it wasn't just about image, it was about damage control under pressure and under PR. Rosie didn't end with elegance. She ended with evidence. When a predator leads, survivors relive. And just when the mirror got too honest, Team Trump panicked. Not with remorse, not with reform, but with a tweet threatening to deport Rosie from the country she was born in. Can a president even do that? Or was this just another tantrum dressed as policy?
But if you know Trump, he can always just pivot to the classic Trump distraction. Throw something outlandish out there and watch the dogs chase the squirrel. I'm going to invade Greenland. I'm going to bomb Iran. He's going to try something big.
President Trump is reigniting his decades-long feud with comedian Rosie O'Donnell.
I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Because nothing says, I'm innocent, like trying to exile a comedian, while dodging Epstein headlines. When power feels threatened, it doesn't explain. It retaliates with bad legal takes and worse punctuation.
Not going to be enough.
The president taking to his social media platform to write in part, quote, "I'm giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She's a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her."
Don't look at our inaction at prosecuting a sex trafficking ring to the rich and powerful. We must focus on the real issue. The denaturalization of the co-star of Riding the Bus with My Sister.
Some presidents rally nations. Others rage post about Rosie. While the world asked questions about Epstein, Trump asked, "Can I deport the funny lady from Long Island?" Forget the traffickers. The real threat, apparently, is the woman who said, "He's not self-made." And nothing screams national security like targeting the co-star of Riding the Bus with My Sister.
President Trump is considering revoking the U.S. citizenship of Rosie O'Donnell. Their feud continues and it deepens. In a Truth Social post, he said, O'Donnell is not in the best interest of the U.S., claiming that she is, quote, a threat to humanity. The actress and comedian is, of course, a longtime rival and critic of the president. The two have publicly criticized each other for years now. O'Donnell responded to Trump online, saying she stands in direct opposition to all he represents and cited him as a reason she moved to Ireland.
A threat to humanity? From the guy who held up a Bible like it was on fire and spelled hamburgers with a D. Rosie didn't leak secrets. She leaked sarcasm. And apparently that's now grounds for deportation. She moved to Ireland for peace. He moved to Truth Social for revenge.
He is the kind of person that is a grifter. And he is an evangelical preacher to people who believe that Celebrity Apprentice was true. He is a cruel, criminal, and mentally unstable man. And Duty to Warn was a book that came out when he was first in office. Psychiatrists across the country who don't ever really diagnose people that they don't serve personally came together and made a book, Duty to Warn, to tell the world what a narcissistic, mentally ill person he is. And I think he's the worst thing that ever happened to the United States. And his cruelty knows no bounds. And when he is upset and humiliated and embarrassed, he has no control and he goes apeshit.
He wasn't elected. He was cast. Sold to America like a plot twist with a gold tie and a fake boardroom. Rosie didn't insult him. She broke the illusion. And when real psychiatrists wrote Duty to Warn, it wasn't partisan, it was damage control. You can't lead a nation on reruns. And you can't silence the people who've seen behind the curtain.
It's very depressing. And it seems very strange to me that the President of the United States has so many friends who are sexual abusers.
Sometimes the most damning thing isn't what you say, it's who still takes your calls. When your circle